Now this is factoring by the box method. This is example 2. The main difference between this problem and example 1 was that the leading coefficient is negative. We need that leading coefficient to be positive. So the only thing that I can factor out of a 6, a 1, and the 2 would be a 1. So since I need that leading coefficient to be positive, I'm going to factor out a negative 1. Now that has the effect of changing that negative 6 to a positive 6, the minus 1x to a positive 1x, and the plus 2 to a negative 2. So it changes all the signs inside that set of parentheses. Next, we need to draw our box. And we put the 6x squared in the first box, we put the negative 2 in the last box, and then we take our 6 and 2 and we multiply them together to get 12. And then we start hunting for the factors of 12. Now I go in order in my first column so that I don't skip anything. 1 goes into 12 12 times. 2 will go into 12 6 times. 3 will go into 12 4 times. And that happens to be all the factors for 12. Now since the last term here is negative, it means that these two numbers will multiply together to give me that negative 2. So one of those two numbers must be positive and the other must be negative. Question is, which one is which? Well, to figure it out, we look at the middle term. These two numbers have to add up to give me that positive 1. The only way I can add a positive negative number to get a positive is if the larger of the two numbers is positive. So I'm looking at the second column to be positive, the first column to be negative. And when we add them together, we have to have 1. So the only numbers that work would be a positive 4 and a negative 3. That adds up to give me my positive 1. So I put 4x and negative 3x into my squares, and it doesn't matter which number goes into which of the two squares. Looking at my first row, I can factor out a 2 from the 6 and the 4, and I can factor out an x from the 2x, or x squared, and the x. So I'm factoring out a 2x. Now, in my second row, I'm going to look at my signs first. Because this number is negative, it means that that number must be negative. In my first row, since both of those numbers were positive, it means that all three of these numbers must be positive. So in my second row, the only number that I can factor out of a negative 3 and a negative 2 would be a negative 1. In my first column, between the 6 and the 3, I can pull a 3 out, and between the x squared and the x, I can pull an x out. So together I'm pulling out a 3x. In my second column, I can pull out a 2 from the 4 and the 2. And that 2 must be positive because, again, the 4 was positive. So the 6x squared plus x minus 2 will factor into 3x plus 2 times 2x minus 1. Some students stop right here and this answer is not complete. What's wrong is you forgot the negative 1 that you factored out originally. So the complete answer and the final answer is negative 1 times, in parentheses, 3x plus 2 times 2x minus 1.